Hey guys, Dawes here again from Dark Tide Fly Fishing. On this episode we'll be making a DIY brush making tool for all you fly ties out there. This will enable you to choose your own fibers that you enjoy, colors, change up your dubbing brushes a bit to suit your needs. I already made one for our head fly tire Jack Lotter. This is the basic idea. Basically what we have here is the frame. We've got the base of the platform of the dubbing brush maker. And the nice thing about this design is you don't need any power tools in order to spin up your brushes. So it's going to be pretty similar to this. The one I'll be making will be almost double the size of this because Jack wants to tie up some saltwater brushes. Guys, I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you have any comments, pop them through. Enjoy. This is the time that we start assembly. Alright, so obviously we've got our base of our brush maker underneath here. We've got another piece for the back and then this piece for the side. Alright, so basically what I like to do before I secure anything in place, I just like to set it up beforehand, make sure everything is in line and lines up nicely. So if you do need to do any final adjustments, you can do prior to fastening everything together. Alright, let's just roughly make sure everything lines up nicely. We don't need to do any more cutting, and that you're happy with the way you've sanded and prepped your base and your back and your side. Okay, once we've lined everything up, make sure everything is flush. What I like to do then is just to mark with a pen or a pencil the sections that, or where I need to drill to fasten, to assemble this together. So basically I'm just gonna make a few marks, excuse me, on the back and then on the side. Alright, okay, once I've marked where I want to, just made a few marks where I'm going to be drilling pocket holes. Back on our side, you'll see how nicely the pocket holes work. What I can do then is Craig actually sell little spaces or fillers that fill into the back here. Whether you guys have used the Craig jig to do the pocket holes, or if you've done what I've done on the side here, which is just basically a screw into the piece of wood. As you'll see, there are no screws on the bottom. This is where you guys would drill through and secure from the bottom if you didn't have a jig. Okay, so that's basically the basic shell of the dubbing brush tool or maker. Guys, in this part of our Dark Tide DIY brush making tool, I'm going to be showing you guys how to build the spindle in which which will twist up your wire once you've placed your material on the brush maker itself. Alright, so basically this is a caster wheel. I've purchased this from my local hardware. You're going to have to find a caster wheel with a solid base. What I mean by that, there's plenty of caster wheels out there that have a swivel on the base or a brake. You just want a simple basic caster wheel like this. Alright, okay, so it pretty much comes as is. What we need to do, we need to remove the shaft that goes through the actual wheel itself, and we need to replace it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is just take a number 10 spanner, and we're going to take out the old shaft. Once we've loosened it up, we can just take a little nut off. There's a washer and the shaft that came with the wheel. Alright, so that's basically what you're going to be left with. The next thing we're going to need is an eye bolt. This is also available all over the show. This is an M6 by 50 millimeter eye bolt. That's going to replace that shaft over there. So it's pretty basic stuff. What we're going to do, we need to secure this eye bolt into the caster wheel itself. Alright, in order for it to spin the eye bolt itself. So what we can use, I've tried a few things, but you can either use epoxy, super glue, or something like that. Okay, what we're going to do here is just place a little bit of super glue, actually quite a bit. If you can get yourself some gel super glue, I think that would be better. The problem with epoxy is it takes too long to set, and can actually jam the caster wheel up on the cradle. Alright, so we just take it like that, pop the wheel back in place, and we just shove that new shaft in there. Okay, you want to give yourself a bit of a gap in the front here. So basically all I've done is I've covered the threads of the eye bolt with the plastic on the caster wheel itself. It just helps it to run smoother on this side here. Alright, then all we do is we take the washer and the nut that came with the caster wheel, and we place it back on the end here. Alright, you can tighten it up a little bit. We're not going to tighten it fully because obviously we want the caster wheel to be able to spin in the base. Okay, you don't want to snug it up too tight. There must still be some play here in between the caster wheel and the base. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Very simple. As long as your wheel and your eye bolt are spinning nicely and are relatively balanced, that's going to spin up your dubbing brush wire. I'll show you in another video where we're going to put this on once I've built the base of the body of the dubbing brush maker. Alright, but you can see that spins nicely. And just keep spinning it a little bit until that super glue is set, so you don't glue the wheel to the base itself. But it's important that the eyelet is glued to the wheel. Right guys, now that we have measured the height we need for our base, which I said was 14 centimeters high. So basically I've found some scrap pieces of wood, and now we need to make our base for our spindle. So basically I've taken scrap pieces, I'm going to cut them shortly, and we're going to create a platform in which our spindle will get fastened to and will sit in place. Guys, so now once we've finished cutting our pieces of wood for the base to create that platform for the spindle to sit on, as I said earlier in the video, I like to just line everything up, make sure everything looks good, square, and that's basically, we're creating the platform for the spindle wheel to sit on. Alright, let me just secure this in place quick. I'm going to be using my Kreg jig again. Okay, secure the clamp, the jig in place. Move over to drill bits. Select where I want my pocket hole. Make sure it's still in line. So I'm going to do one pocket hole on the one side, one on the other. So now what we're going to want to do, I'm just going to check again quickly. Okay, so I want it square. Alright. So what I'm going to do here, flip the pieces of wood over. Obviously you guys who are not using a jig, just line up these two pieces and then put a screw in from underneath. Just grab the appropriate length screw for this. Take two out, I'm going to need one just now. Make sure everything's lined up. At the back here, so I've got a nice straight edge. There we go. So I'm left with a nice 90-degree angle platform. Then what line it up once again. That's looking good. Alright, and as you can see earlier, I've drawn a pencil mark on the height that I need this to be at the back of the base here. That's exactly at 14 centimeters. Okay, now we need to secure it to the base, and then that'll be our platform for our spindle done. So I drilled the pocket hole on the wrong side in order for me to secure it to the base here. All I need to do is just do another pocket hole in the middle, secure it in place. That off. What I'm actually going to use on this side, because I'm only using one screw, I don't want it to turn, I'm going to use a touch of wood glue. Just on that edge there. Just make sure it's nice and flush with the edges before securing it down. Once it's taken a little bit, just do my final adjustments. There we go. Secured it in place. Just wipe off any excess wood glue. And then the final step in securing your spindle platform is to pop a screw in the back here to make sure that this platform is secure. I'm just going to move it slightly down to my 14 centimeter line. Get it in place roughly. Quite a keen eye, sharp eye, so sometimes I don't use measuring tapes. Alright, there we go. Now we've created our platform where we can secure our spindle. Then what I can do is just make sure that I've got the level right. It looks good. I've already marked the center of the piece of wood, and all we need to do now is secure your spindle to the platform you've just created. What I can do is I've found the center of my material base, and I just roughly get the center of your eyelet. That level is looking good. Obviously, as I said, you want to give yourself a little bit of a gap between your material base and the spindle. So I'm going to move it slightly further back. Just check it. Yeah, that's good. Just spin it a few times just to make sure that the eyelet is in the center of your material platform. Cool. Mark where I want to secure it. Grab some of those screws, pop it on the mark. Just going to leave it loose so I can do my final adjustments. Once I've done that, just one more check, make sure that I'm in line with the middle line of this board halfway through. Here we go, it's looking good. Just secure it. To the platform you've just created. There we go. Right guys, that's that part of the DIY brush making tool completed. We'll then move on to the last final few steps. Alright guys, the next step in the video is we need to now put the dial stick here in order to make our platform level. Alright, so the basic things you're going to need is a ruler, a square edge, a level, a piece of dowel stick, and a pencil. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is to position my square and my level to ensure that the platform is level. Alright, so that is 190 millimeters. Okay, so I need to then mark and cut our dowel stick. But remember, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a little hole in the base here, just probably 5 mils deep, so that our dowel stick can sit in there. I don't need to make a hole in this platform here. So what I'm going to do is just pop that there. Okay, mark it at 190 millimeters. Well, actually I'm going to make it 195, so that when we drill the hole in the base, there'll be 5 millimeters just as a support. Alright, then we can, now that we've marked our dowel stick, we can then cut. Before we cut it, I'm just going to roughly get the center of this. So let me just grab a ruler here. Alright, so our platform is 35 centimeters wide, or long, sorry. And now I need to measure the gap here. So that gap there is 40 or 4 centimeters, 40 millimeters. So then I can place that on the base, mark where, mark 4 centimeters here. And then half of 35 was 17.5, I think it was, yeah, 17.5. So that's our center there, where our dowel stick needs to go. Now we need to measure the depth in which we want our dowel stick, so it's standing nice and straight underneath the platform. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to just roughly recess it to about 4 centimeters from the edge of, that'll give us enough space that it's further back. 4 centimeters, and there is our center. Draw a line. Alright, so we need to, where the two lines intersect is where we need to drill our hole. Only 5 millimeters deep for our dowel stick to sit in when we raise the platform in place. Alright guys, so that's basically the step in order to get the correct height, length of your dowel stick, so that you have a nice level platform. now that we have cut our dowel stick, drilled our hole, we've got our platform nice and level, and your dowel stick sits in there neatly and nice and straight. We're going to be making the tensioner on this side of the device. Okay, what we're going to need, I've selected, this is a M6 by 100mm eye bolt. We're going to need 2 washers, 2 nuts, and a spring. Okay, now what we have to do, we have to make sure that our eyelet on our spindle and this eyelet, which will go here, are in line. So the nice thing about this, I've already marked the center of the board. So what I can do is just to double check, is we're looking at, just place a little ruler there, and our center of our eyelet here is about 9.5 centimeters. So what we can do is just mark 9.5 centimeters on this side, just in order to ensure that we've got a nice straight wire. The most difficult part about this is marking this side of your platform, of your machine, to make sure that your wire is also level. So what I do is I take my square again here. What I can do is just place it against the back. There's a little spirit level in this square, which is quite nice. So I can make sure that it's nice and level. I need to then adjust to the height of our platform, which is about there. So I need to adjust this to, I think it's 200 millimeters high. There we go. So it's level to our platform. I hope you guys can see that in the video. Now I place it against the side where I need to mark. Make sure it's nice and level. And then I check along the line. Then I need to can draw a line there. Right, so I've got my line. Now I need to take, as we know from the back of the board, that the center is 9.5 centimeters. So now I've got my height here. What I do is just place my ruler and then mark where I need to drill. There we go, 9.5 centimeters. Okay, I can just remove that stuff. Alright, got our bits and pieces there. Select my drill bit, which should be a 6mm. Let's start off with a 6mm drill bit. Just match it up with your, actually what I'm going to do is actually go 5.5 mils first. I want a nice level hole. I like to start off going small first. If I need to use a larger drill bit, okay. Alright, now that I mark, place the drill bit where I've marked. Just line up your drill, make sure it's straight and level. Because this is a part where you can't redo. that's nice and level and relatively straight. Okay, that's quite tight. So what I'm going to do is just swap it over to a 6mm drill bit. And just finish off that hole. Much better. So now we've got a nice, the hole is not too loose or not too tight. Okay, what I can do then is just pop the dowel back in place, just to make sure, perfect, I've got the correct level. So that's great. Alright guys, now that we have drilled our hole in place, I'm going to take our M6 by 100mm eye bolt. What I've done, I've placed a nut on this side, closest to the eye. Then what we're going to do is just pop a washer on the end. So we've got the nut, the washer, that's going to go through our hole on this side. Okay, let's make sure it's not touching our platform. There we go, that's great. Okay, let's pop that back down. Now we take our spring, first the washer, another washer, slide that on the other end here, pop our spring over, and the last step, just secure that in place, tighten it up a bit tighten that nut up a little bit. Alright, then you just want to check the tension, that's a bit too tight, so I loosen up the bolt. There we go. So that's basically it. So obviously once we've laid our material on our platform, we then can place the material, pop your wire across there over your material, spin it a few times just to take up a little bit of tension, and then drop your platform and continue spinning up your brush. Right guys, so that's the gist of the DIY brush maker. In the next video, what I'll be doing, I'll be just tidying up the brush maker, making it look nice, giving it a coat of, you can either stain it or varnish it, whichever you prefer. Do the final cleanup of the brush making tool. Once we have done that, I will then demonstrate how this brush maker actually works. I hope you guys have enjoyed.